Don't go away. We are still here. We are still with you. So, as I say, if we go down again, we'll try to reconnect like that, literally. So, as I say, we are trying to keep it going for you. We're going to try and keep the camera over this side of the room. So, hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll work for you. For those of you that are watching so far, thank you very much for joining us. We are live and direct from Scott Bailey Hairdressing. As I say, we've done the first side already, which you saw earlier. I'm just literally about to start cutting side 2 now. So, as I say, with the lovely Julie and also Lynn tonight watching, which I know some of you have been texting Lynn and trying to ring Lynn. Obviously, Lynn won't answer the phone because she's here at the moment and it'll interfere with the broadcast. So, if you want to text Lynn, feel free to text Lynn. Don't text me because I won't be able to pick it up either because I'm cutting. Anyway, we're now working with Fat Muck Volumizing Spray. So we're now just going to work on side 2. So let's spin Julie around and come through to what we were doing earlier on so we can see. So we'll keep the camera over this side. For some reason over the other side it just doesn't seem to like it. So, okay, let's just make it so you can bring the camera around the other side, okay, Dad? You can come over there, that's it, there you go. So, let's get everything prepared. There's a bit of excitement there. So, let's just have a look. Cool, got a few people back on, excellent. Tom Matthews, good evening. Jan Gregson, good evening. Hope you're okay, Jan Gregson and Mick. Nice to see you're always on with us tonight. Hopefully you saw the other side. Right, so now we're working again in 3 sections. 1, 2, 3. Section 1 is 45 degrees, section 2 is 25 degrees, and section 3 is 0 elevation. The easiest way to remember this also is we've got to remember what angle we're going at as well. So thinking about the angle, thinking about the section to keep it clean. So now we're going to go slightly lower. And of course we've got to make sure the balance is sitting right with what we've got on the other side as well. So again, there's quite a lot to think about when you're doing this. So just keeping all the sections nice and clean. Again, if I cannot emphasise enough on the second knuckle, most of the customers that come here will be watching out for this when they come in next time with the team. I have to say also I have an amazing team of people that I work with. I know Charlotte will be watching now, but you know, I'm not just saying this, I've got an amazing team of people around me, and that makes it easier to do what I do every day and to do this at night. So thank you to the team that work with me. It's always very appreciated just how hard you graft. As with any hairdressers that are in salons, you know how hard it is. It's not easy. I tend to visit salons around when I get a chance to go and see what other people are doing, because I think it's a great way to sort of learn from watching, and I'm not afraid to continue learning. Next year I'll celebrate 30 years of hairdressing. Make sure you film the right side, Dad, when you film the next time, so I look young on it. All right. So I'll be celebrating my 45th birthday next year. For those of you that are trying to work it out, I do get nice compliments from people that say, "Oh, did you start when you were young?" Well, actually I did, but obviously working a lot of hours sometimes takes its toll. So as the ladies' night Chanel in Foss Park, go and get my fake tan from down there, and it's quite nice. I can hide sometimes. So let's just come through the side now, getting this layer in, just cutting through with the comb. So I try to keep it all nice and clean looking. So I just corrected myself from cutting with my fingers, because I don't like to cut with my fingers on this part because it creates a lot of tension and it just doesn't work for me as much. So just keeping everything nice and clean on the section. So you can now see where we're going with this. It all just falls nice and beautifully as side 1. So let's just pull everything down. Again, we'll use a little bit more of the Fat Muck Volumizing Spray just to keep everything nice and damped down. Yeah, sorry, there you go. Just so Justina and Al can see that at home, as with Muck in Australia. So, now it's the last part. Let's just see where we're going. We need to just have a quick flick round in the mirror. Just see where we're going on the layers and the length, because we have to work it all out in our heads. We've still got a picture on the feed. That's good. Excellent. Right, here we go then. So, just keeping everything clean on the angles. So obviously we've got to think about where we're going on the angles. Again, that's very important. What I'll do is this cut will take approximately, now with the layering on it, it will take about another 10 to 11 minutes. Once that's been done, I shall then switch off the broadcast Some of you may say, oh no. Some of you may even say, hooray. But what we'll do is we'll take the broadcast off and then we'll blow dry Julie's hair. And what we'll do then is we'll come back on once we've done one half of it with a style stick. The reason being that with the hairdryer it's quite loud, and I don't want to sort of struggle for you to hear me at home. I'll go through the blow drying techniques again, but also doing 2 nights of this and teaching and talking all day in the salon, it takes its toll on your voice. So just so I can save my voice for tomorrow. Most of my guests will love it if I can't talk. But the plan is that with everything we can then sort of showcase at the very end what we're doing with the cut when you'll see it then dried and styled. Okay, so we've now got both sides. Let's just dump everything down again. I'm going to come into the layering process. So as I said earlier on, the important part of this is to make sure that the layers work on the hair. Just get a pair of scissors alike. Okay. So the important part is layering is very important, because obviously with this layering we want to be able to make Julie's hair look thicker, and also we need to think about what we're going to do. So we're going to use a square layer to the parietal ridge, then we'll use a rounded layer here, and then at this point we'll spin round and we'll do another rounded layer coming through to the sides, which will hopefully give us then a nice full effect on the top, a really full effect on the side here, and going into the bottom will give us that heart shape rather than an A-line dress. We'll then also pull the layers back slightly, which will then create more of a point towards the front, which you'll see in a moment. Before that, we're just going to put some lift in the back and just drop in a nice layer just through the back section. So let's just go back into working from the apex to the mastoid process, which most of you at home are probably thinking that now because you've watched it and sort of worked it out. So I'm just going to come through this now. Let's just change the position of the chair just to keep the camera on, and Dad can film from that side. It's a nice thing is the chairs move. So again, thinking about a rounded layer, all of it, we need to think about how this rounded layer works. We want to be able to keep the tension on. As it starts to fall away, that's the length. That needs to be really, really tight, so there's no tension, so there's no slack on that. The tension needs to be on it and no drag. So second knuckle, off it comes. Then moving round into segments of like an orange. I'll then take one step round, again keeping the section clean, not pulling it back into the middle. If you look at my arm a second, Dad, what I'm doing with it, so you can just see the mechanics are actually working on this, so it's able to pull the section into the right section for the hair. So now we're moving round again, just thinking about I'm standing, I'm really straight, I'm not straining my back, my well-being's correct, and then again I'm coming back into just making sure that's correct on the second knuckle. As we all know as hairdressers, there's a lot to think about, just to make sure you stand in the right position. Okay, the arm's coming up again, just coming through, taking that off now, and then that then allows us to bring that layer in. So now we've got that layer coming round. That then just allows that to bend. Right, so let's just turn around this way. You just come round to the side. Hello, that's it. So again, standing in this position. Again, look at the arm. The arm. It's going to feel quite awkward for a lot of people, but I tend to do it this way because I can then face the guest as I'm talking and say to them, "You going on holiday this year?" I don't ever ask that question actually, that's something I don't ever ask. Some of the guests that are there now will be thinking to themselves, I never ask if you're going on holiday. It's so typical cliche. No, I normally just ask whatever I want to ask. Like tonight I've got no script, I'll just talk without a script. So the nice thing is you can face towards the guest as opposed to facing backwards, which some people tend to face backwards when they do this part. So it's just nice just to face. So just try this if you've never tried before, it's quite nice. It's a different technique and you can maintain that conversation through the mirror at the same time. So now we're coming through, creating that rounded layer, and then we work towards the layer at the front, which I'll just go through in a second just to explain to you what we're doing. Okay, so now that's the shape coming through. What we do now is we're working a quadrant, which is looking at the top as a cross. That creates this corner, which is a quadrant. thinking about the rounded layer I did earlier. I'm now just going to just lift that up and see if there's anything needs to come off, which there isn't hardly anything, but because I'm quite OCD when I cut hair, I like to just make sure that everything's right. So let's just lift this up again here. Again, thinking about the layer where we are and just taking that tiniest bit off. So now we've got the layers in the back, which will nicely plump that cut up and give it the fullness. Right, so let's just have a quick talk about what's going on the side here. So we talked about the layers on the top, the rounded layer and the square layer and the even more acute round layer at the bottom. Each section we're going to take, we will bring back to this section. So for instance, section 1 will go straight up, section 2 will come back to section 1, and so on till we get to the front, which will come back to this section here, which is the mastoid process, which will then create the point at the front. That's how it's going to work. When you get through to this side, again, the thumb always leads, which is very important. So you'll take a step to the side, spin your hand over, and then the thumb leads in order to get that third layer. So you'll go 1 to the parietal ridge, 2, and then take a step, 3, which will then create that nice shape, which I'm now going to do for you. So looking at the reference point on a head, which we talked about earlier, we've got the square layer, which goes to the parietal ridge. So now just lifting it up, keeping the arm really level, and then literally keeping the tension on and taking it off. Now this idea here is to make the hair look as thick as we can. So we're now just pulling it out and pulling it round. We're using club cutting, which is a solid line. We're not using anything else, no texture or anything. And then as we come through this side, I take a step to the left, and then literally what I do then is pull the section out. Now I'll just explain to you how this works for those of you who've never seen it. That's the length that's dropping, which we don't want to take off. This is the length we cut earlier, so we just take that off, which is like a triangle of weight. What that does now is, as I comb that round, give it a little tap, it then just goes round and drops in nicely, and that will then release the weight to give it the body on the top. Pretty smart, eh? So now we go to section 2, which is a replication of section 1. However, we bring that back to section 1. So looking for the guide again, keeping the arm really straight, and then just taking it off. Now again, just coming through to the side, passing over the parietal ridge. If Ross is watching tonight, he loves the parietal ridge. And then again, just taking that off. But again, you're on the second knuckle because that's the discipline. If you go past the second knuckle, it doesn't allow you to get this excess piece of hair you've got here. So take a step to the left. Now you should be able to see this as clear as daylight. You've got the length, and that's how you take that bit off there. If you were to try to do it with your hands, what would happen is you'd do this. If you feel my body now, Dad, you can really see I'm really bending myself right over, literally. So it's not good. So you have to think your well-being by standing up straight, like I'm going to dance in the ballet. It's just easier. So you have to think about your well-being. So here we go, next piece. So we'll replicate everything the same now and bring it all back to section 1. So it's just above the apex, taking that off, and then just bringing it through. And again, just watching the arms. Taking a step to the left, but again, you've got to remember to pull this back, because again, if you pull it out, it won't do anything. So you've got to pull this back slightly and take that off. That then gives you the point as it starts to fall. This is a great technique to do, and I'm sure that you will have many of our hours of enjoyment doing it as you create the look. So now just coming onto the top as we come back, again just making sure we've got everything on there. Then to the parietal, but again making sure you pull it back, because as I stressed enough earlier on, you've got to pull that back, but making sure you keep the length. So we then just come back. Again, everything should be just in corner with the back of the blade and literally on the mastoid process. Literally then just giving it a comb round, little tap, and you can see where you're going with the shape. Let's just damp it down again. So we're starting to dry out, and wetter is better. It just produces a better look, and you can keep the line very clean and sharp. Okay, so now on the last section. So again, just pull that back, to parietal ridge. Everything comes right back now to the top of the mastoid process and the apex. Literally just bring this round. Angled again, thinking about the hand, and then literally take a step to the left. You've got to take that step. If you don't take that step, you don't get this. It's like I said earlier on about the clock. If you don't follow the clock, you don't get the look. So you got to think about how you're holding the sections. All these reference points are really important when you do the haircut. All this should be going through your head when you're working on the guest, and people will be saying things like, oh, he never talks like this when he's doing my hair. Well, you can't really talk like it, because if you started talking like it, customers would never understand a word you're saying. So that's the idea. But in your head, you're saying it. It's like when you're doing glasses with people, you sort of turn around and say something in your head. Okay, this is working on the, well, you'd use the mastoid process anyway. So let's just come around this way now so we can get the camera on. That's it. Right, so parietal. So you have to draw things out quite nicely, taking a clue from next door on the other side, and then literally just joining it up. Okay, again, just rounding it off. And again, taking that. So now you take a step to the right, and the hand this time, if we just come around with the camera, Dad, you can see that's the length there as it's dropping. This is the length that we've just taken off. The thumb is leading this way, which is really important. I emphasise this a lot when I'm doing hair cutting. I'll talk about which way the thumb's leading, which is really important. I know a lot of people pick up on that because it's really important, that is. So think about those things. It's just really important. So they're just guidelines, right? So now this comes back again. Take it off. And again, as I say, when this is blow dried later, you'll see Julie's hair when it's all blow dried out. It will look really, really thicker, and it will have a nice curve in it. When we come back after you've had your dinner, doing your washing up, and maybe caught up on a little bit of Coronation Street and put the children to bed. So just a few more minutes, then we'll disappear, then we'll come back on again with the finish and the personalisation and finale. So for Nikki Gower, if she's watching this tonight, Karen Booth, this is all very similar layering to what we put through your hair, and Helen Bailey. It's just quite nice to be able to sort of see it being done on somebody else's hair. Because again, when you're watching it, it's completely different on playback. Julie will probably watch this and think to herself, oh, is that how he did it? I can't see a thing what he's doing. We've had to go this way so we can keep the feed going, otherwise sadly the feed won't work. So the other night it was disastrous because we were trying desperately to keep the feed going and it was challenging. So tonight it's just a lot better because it seems to want to play ball, which is nice, on a brand new router. So there we go, coming through this part, and then the last part, what we'll do now is bring it back. We'll put the fringe in later, we'll cut all that when it's dry, and then we'll come back on there. So what we'll do is I'll actually prepare the hair in a second with the product, just so everybody can see it before we start. So get on a real nice turn in there now. So what we'll do is we'll, there you go, all of a sudden, wow. It's very different, isn't it? So what we'll do now is we'll prepare the hair to blow dry. This is what we're going to blow dry the hair with. Filthy Muck styling paste, which most people would think this has actually been a product on men's hair, but it's humidity resistant, which is a really good thing. You don't really need an awful lot of product, enough to cover both hands. And literally this is how we're going to do it. We're actually going to apply this product. There'll be no tricks whatsoever. The only thing we've used on here so far is the Muck blonding shampoo, just literally just to bring that colour up a little bit more, which is a blue shampoo. We put that on earlier on Julie's hair just to really just sort of pre-prepare it, and obviously we put some Fat Muck volumizing blowout mousse in there also. But really this is the only product we're going to use. So we're going to disappear now and say goodbye, and then when we come back later, we will literally then have done the blow dry. We'll then go into doing the straightening on one side with the Muck style stick, And then when you return, hopefully if you come back and see us later, we'll do the other side with the muck style stick, and you'll see how that works with the ion lights that are on there, which put the condition into the hair. You'll see how shiny the hair looks, and then we'll then come into the personalisation, which we'll do the fringe. We'll use my curved scissors. We'll then clean all the back out, and then also come into the finish off to make it look even bigger. Okay, so don't go away, enjoy your dinner, enjoy putting your children to bed. We'll see you soon. Ciao.